everyone. Welcome to tnSportsChat presented by Lehigh Valley Health Network. I'm Patrick Matsinko. This is Emmett McCall. And I guess it's fitting with the start of the season now that we are both in our uniforms.
Yes,
so we are matching. But we have, now this is a Thursday that we're doing this.
What do you say? Electric blue.
Electric blue.
Electric blue.
So the Electric Blues brothers, I mean,
like that.
we'll have a while to kind of come up with something that's pretty good, but yeah, I mean, we're ready. We're outfitted, we're ready to go, and just today we officially kind of kick off competition for the fall sports season.
Yeah, golf gets underway today. Earliest starting date of any of the sports. We have five different golf matches involving local teams today. We will be running our golf previews in the paper this weekend. Saturday's paper, we're going to have the preview of all the golf teams. So we're going to be off and running.
Yeah, and next week on Monday we start getting into it with girls tennis. That's the next one to kick off.
That's the 20th. And then there's kind of a lull. Well, football will start the 24th, then next Friday. Football gets underway, but all the other sports, your volleyball, your field hockey, your cross country, your girls soccer, boys soccer, none of those teams can kick off their seasons until the 31st. Friday the 31st is when everyone else gets going. So you'll see our fall sports previews for tennis on Monday, this coming Monday, the 20th, and then starting with the week of the 27th through the 31st, those 5 days, we're going to run all of the other fall sports previews. We'll be running that week.
So there's definitely a lot to look forward to. I know that we've talked a lot about football in the last couple of weeks, but with these other sports getting underway and our previews still to come for a lot of them, it's kind of, I guess, got us thinking about some of the most interesting games, matchups that we have coming up as we look ahead the first couple of weeks of the season, where we have a couple of double locals, we have a couple of interesting matchups against teams that did well last year.
Tournaments, and meets, cross-country meets. We have that invitationals that'll have several local teams in. So yeah, we kind of try to highlight the first 2 weeks of the season for most teams. Kind of into the middle of September for most sports. That'll be about the first 2 weeks of their season, and just kind of talk about some interesting things that'll be going on those 2 weeks.
And just looking right ahead to Friday, we have a couple of interesting golf matches where we have Lehigh going up against Tamaqua. We have Weatherly against Marion, and then that first day of tennis, we have Tamaqua at Jim Thorpe. So right there, I mean, right off the bat, a lot of double local matchups. Certainly, some interesting storylines there, I think, especially for us, just in terms of thinking about the coverage area.
Right, yeah. In our tennis last year, we only have three area schools that have girls tennis teams. Tamaqua and Jim Thorpe, like you said, are meeting Monday. We also have Pleasant Valley. Pleasant Valley was probably the most successful of the three teams last year. Qualified for the 3A district tournament. One of their double teams advanced to the second day of districts, which is a nice accomplishment.
Yeah, Haley White and Masani Francis, they proved to be great individually in singles play, but when they got together for doubles, they were even better. And I don't believe they were seeded. They made it through.
Had upset, yeah. They both graduated though, so I guess the question this year, what we'll find out early stages of the season, is who the best players, who the best teams are going to be this year.
Yeah, so again, just kind of going down the list, thinking about what we have to come. You had mentioned about some invitationals. We have the Lion Invitational for cross country. That'll be on August 31st. That's at Moravian Academy.
According to our schedule, it looks like all three of our Colonial League teams, Northwestern, Northern Lehigh, and Palmerton, are all going to be in that meet.
And those are always interesting, just kind of to jump right into it, and you get interesting competition. Now, we have obviously our teams there, but also the entry list is littered with teams from out of the area, teams that are going to be kind of stacked with some district contenders, league contenders,
AA teams, AAA teams.
Yeah.
So you'll have quite the mix. Single A teams, you got the mix of all three classes, and like you said, you have a bunch of District 11 teams. You have teams from outside the district. And you end up, you might see, two teams, a Schuylkill League team and a Colonial League team who don't play during the regular season, and whose runners are going to be facing each other in the district tournament. 6, 7, 8 weeks down the line, you might get some early previews of how those will turn out.
Yeah, and just to kind of think, even the following day, you have, thinking about some of the Schuylkill League teams, you have a Lehigh, a Marion, Tamaqua at the Northampton Invitational, which again is another interesting meet with a very competitive field. And there again, Marion's in that, and that's where you have our female girls, our girls cross country athlete of the year, Tina Caparel, the last 4 years. Obviously, she has graduated. She's gone. Looking at the boys' side, you have a Jake Martinez of Palmerton back, who was phenomenal as a junior last year, our boys cross country athlete of the year. So certainly you're going to think and expect that he's going to be looking to kind of follow up that performance this season, and we'll see what we have on the girls' side.
Yeah, I was just going to say, without Tina Caparel back, who's kind of dominated girls cross country the last few years for us, it's kind of wide open now. Northwestern always has some really good girls runners. Will it be somebody from that team or somebody we're not even aware of now that steps up? But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, Northwestern's a squad that's been a staple, kind of either as a district champion, district runner-up, but it's a team that's gone to states many times over the last couple of years. I mean, since I've been covering cross country, it's every year almost that they have a team out there. They had a lull 2 years ago. Went back last year. Madeline Consuelos returned. She should probably be among the team's top runners this season.
Yeah.
But thinking about, again, Northwestern, we're looking at boys and girls soccer. We've talked about it a bunch of times. Northwestern boys and girls soccer has been kind of the standard bearer, on both sides for us.
Contending for Colonial League and District 11 titles, kind of year in, year out. State titles, right? The boys team, I think, have appeared in 3 straight state championship meets. Won a couple of District 11 championships in a row, and they'll be loaded again from what we're hearing. They lost a couple key players, but they have a lot back, and expecting them to contend once again this year.
Yeah, so there's typically not a ton of drop-off there. Obviously, those programs are both very strong. Coach Hunsaker, Coach Bleem do great jobs with the boys and girls teams, respectively. Thinking about that first weekend, Saturday the 1st, we have Northern Lehigh at Palmerton, boys and girls soccer. So
yeah, pair of local schools going head-to-head on the turf in Palmerton. They're going to play the boys, I think, at 10, the girls at 11:30. So, and that's nice. That's that's something you see during basketball season a lot, where teams have now started to go to the girls-boys doubleheaders, and they're doing it in soccer here.
And just looking at Northern Lehigh, you think about that girls program. Individually, Jillian Olawine, who was formerly our girls female track athlete of the year, she broke almost every Northern Lehigh girls soccer scoring record. She pretty much rewrote the record books. She has graduated, so obviously there's certainly a big shoes to fill there for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and in girls soccer, we talked about Northwestern boys, but Northwestern girls soccer coming off probably the best year in school history. First team that ever advanced to the PIAA state semifinal round. They won a district title. Our girls soccer player of the year, Sarah Hathaway.
She was only a junior, right?
Will be back. She was the leading scorer in the area last year. So they're going to be tough again this year. And like you said, they're playing a whole bunch of Colonial League. It's a tough league, so they're going to have their work cut out for them. And you talked about Palmerton and Northern Lehigh meeting that early season matchup.
Yeah.
They're two teams that would like to kind of break into that top group and join the Northwesterns and the Moravian Academies and teams like that who have kind of been on the top of that.
And they've sort of had a stranglehold there on obviously on the top of the standings there, and if you never know. This is one of those things now again where it's a new season. You have players that are lost to graduation, and you see who kind of comes in and steps up into those roles. So,
and then Schuylkill League soccer,
which
we have a number of our teams in the Schuylkill League. We have a couple of games early. Schuylkill League boys soccer. We have a Tamaqua Lehighton matchup on September 6th. We have Lehighton and Jim Thorpe matchup on September 10th, and then kind of in between that, we have on September 8th we have Lehighton Schuylkill League playing Palmerton of the Colonial League in a boys match. Kind of fun matchup. And then a week later, on Saturday the 15th, we have Tamaqua at Northern Lehigh. And once again, it's Schuylkill versus Colonial.
And Jim Thorpe boys also a team that played for a Schuylkill League title last year against a tough Pottsville team.
Once again, we talked about Northwestern girls, one of the best seasons in school history. That might have been the Jim Thorpe boys' best season in school history.
That was a huge step up for that program, and certainly something that they're going to look to kind of build on moving forward. But again, just to kind of think too now about transition to a field hockey, where we look at some of our top programs, and they've been kind of leading the way, I guess, the last couple of years when you look at district appearances, players of the year, things like that. That first weekend you get a Lehighton at Pleasant Valley matchup, but that'll also have two first-year head coaches for both programs, with Vanessa Rimby taking over for Corinne McConville at Lehighton and Jill Dorn taking over at Pleasant Valley.
Interesting at Lehighton, Corinne was only there 1 year, but she was a former Division I field hockey player, star field hockey player for Lehighton, and she's left. She's going to be an assistant field hockey coach at Kutztown University now. But Vanessa steps in, and she's another person, a multi-sport star at Lehighton, but also one of those sports was field hockey, and was a really, really good field hockey player during her career there.
And Lehighton is, again, coming off of back-to-back appearances in district championship games, which is also back-to-back appearances in the state playoffs. And this is a school that, thinking about, our last, was it at least 3 players of the year, where you have, last year it was Maura Phelan, and then you had Lauren Marks, and then you had Allie Racino. And they've also produced a great deal of Division I talent too, where you have Phelan, who went to American, Grace Shanton went to Temple, and then you also have Mara Stern, who was a Lehighton player. She was also at Temple. And then you have Sarah Keir, who was before that, but she was at Temple. So, so there's been a ton of really talented players that have come through that program in the last couple of years. And then we also have, just to kind of think again about teams that have been doing really well, you have Marion Volleyball, which is a program, and Panther Valley Volleyball that have both now these last couple of years been powers in the Schuylkill League, and then also in their respective classes in the District 11.
Marion, I believe it's 4 straight state championship appearances for Marion, and Marion's volleyball dominance goes back, decade or more. That they've been a constant Schuylkill League District 11 state powerhouse in volleyball, and now in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, Panther Valley is kind of getting closer and closer to that level. They've won 2 straight district championships, 2 straight appearances in the state playoffs. Still, we've got 2 really excellent volleyball programs in this area.
Yeah, and you think about Marion will have to replace Jasmine Mooney, who obviously has been such a force for them. She's gone to graduation at East Stroudsburg now.
3-time Times News Player of the Year.
Yeah, so she's been huge for them, and obviously that will be tough to replace anyone, obviously at that level, but they always seem to be a program that can kind of just reload.
Speaking of replace, not replacing their coach, but Marion veteran coach Doc Fallible had back surgery just within the past month. He's kind of going to be, it's kind of questionable whether he's going to be back for the first games, but he hasn't been able to run the practices. So Rachel Krycherik, a longtime assistant, has kind of been running the Philly program through the preseason. Doc is supposed to be back for the regular season next week, but you know, he's been there forever. He's had lots of success, and we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, a quick sort of whip around there.
For the volleyball, just a couple of key early season matches. We have Jim Thorpe and Panther Valley, Tamaqua and Lehigh both playing each other. That's 1 week into the season on September 6th. And then September 11th, another big rivalry, Schuylkill League rivalry, Marion and Tamaqua will be playing.
So that's all really just kind of what to look forward to a little bit. I guess just a little bit of a teaser, just these first couple of weeks of the season, you know, there for our other fall sports, which will certainly be exciting. And then
lots of great players, lots of great teams. We kind of talked about it, touched on it a bit a couple of weeks ago, but our fall sports individuals and teams produced a lot of state champions and state medal winners and district and state qualifiers. So we'll have some really talented teams and individuals coming up to do things.
And I think what's interesting there is as these seasons kind of get underway and you start to see some of the results and see how things are unfolding, that gives you a better idea of where things stand. Whereas maybe right now we don't have, the previews aren't done yet, so we still have, we're still kind of waiting to talk to some coaches.
Teams are only 3 or 4 days into practices, just starting.
So we don't know exactly where a lot of that stands. Whereas maybe with football we have a bit of a clearer picture of sort of where everybody is heading into the season, at least, even though you're never too sure until things start to kind of get underway.
So they'll all be playing. Scrimmages are either Friday night, Saturday morning, depending on when the schools are scheduling them. But all 9 football teams in our area are going to have scrimmages in the next day. We'll get a little better read on what's there, what teams have after that, and then it's just 8 days from today is going to be the kickoff to our season.
Yeah, and they're just thinking about some home games. We have Lehigh hosting Fleetwood, Marion hosting Midwest, Northwestern hosting Notre Dame Green Pond, which should be interesting. Palmerton hosting Palisades, which again interesting. Panther Valley gets Columbia Montorvo Tech. Pleasant Valley gets Liberty, and Tamaqua gets Lime Mountain. So those are all home games.
And just a lot of home games first week. Just a mention that Columbia Montorvo Tech Panther Valley game is going to be our Lehigh Valley Health Network game of the week for the opening week of the season.
Surprise! So that'll be fun, and that gets us through the first week. We have by the calendar we'll get 2 weeks of the season in by the end of August, 6 games by the end of September. So it'll be here. We'll be mid-season before you know it. So. The other thing this week that is still kind of in the early stages and obviously just kind of trying to find our way with it, but posted a poll on the website, something that I guess we're going to try to be launching in the next couple of weeks with the season starting soon. The Times News will be kind of developing, I guess, sort of an NFL-oriented podcast. Not so much anything that's video-related, but just a podcast in kind of the standard form, the true sense of the word. And this will be NFL-oriented, but we did post a poll just kind of looking to see what you would be interested in hearing. General NFL discussion, season-long NFL fantasy advice, or daily fantasy advice. So far, looks like the leading vote getter is general NFL discussion. Then we also have a few votes for daily fantasy advice. I believe set this poll up to end in 6 days, which I hope takes us to about Sunday. Yeah. So if you have
get
time,
online and vote. If you have a preference, it might turn out that we touch on a little bit of everything in there.
Which could be better. Yeah.
Justin Carlucci, he'll be hosting the podcast, and he's lots of NFL knowledge, lots of fantasy knowledge. So he's a great host for the program, and has he can kind of go in any direction, whatever way our listeners kind of are hoping to hear more of. He can go in any direction with that. So let us know what you think.
And we hope it's something that you're interested in. And again, we're definitely open to feedback and suggestions that you have for what you might be interested in, because I think that would definitely make it great and certainly help to kind of enhance the experience and make it something that you're looking forward to. So that's all I think for this week.
That's all. Next week's show, we will be previewing week 1 of the high school football season, I guess.
We will be, depending on when we're doing this, I guess if it's Thursday, we'll have our tab finished.
Right.
So that'll be out next Thursday.
Yep.
And then opening night is Friday.
Grit Picks next Friday's paper.
Oh no, Grit Picks.
All tied for first now.
It's nice to have a clean slate, though.
Yes.
I don't think Bob Ford, the defending champion, will let us forget that he won last year's title. A photographer won last year's title.
Only photographer among 9 other sports writers. Yeah, he's been pretty much unbearable.
Yeah,
this summer, so.
Insufferable, even more than usual.
So it's time to get our revenge on Bob.
But that'll be here next week. So we'll really be just pretty much in full swing, and then we'll have the rest of the season for fall sports starting the following week. But we'll definitely look forward to seeing you again next week. For now, that's all. For Emmett, McCall, I'm Patrick Matsinko. Thank you again for tuning in to TN Sports Chat, presented by Lehigh Valley Health Network.